Welcome to another episode of Remnants of a Sound Blast. This is episode 9. And first off, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everybody is having a good first week of 2023. It did not start off so great for us. January 2nd, I had to put one of our cats to sleep that was suffering from kidney failure, kidney disease. She was 12 years old. And we noticed some signs and she wasn't doing well. We put her in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, spent a bunch of money trying to get her back to where she was before. She was looking good. She came home about 3 or 4 days after she got back. She declined again. So she went into remission, and it was just the right thing to do to have her euthanized so she wouldn't be suffering. So that was really sad for us, but hopefully better things to come. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to make more videos closer together, but my life is so busy with just a full-time job and tons of animals. We basically have an animal shelter at my house, even though this is kind of like my quiet space right here. This is my living room and den, but my cats, they hide. My dogs are kind of laying down, sleeping at the moment, so this is a good opportunity for me to go ahead and do a video. We have 3 small kids at home, so it's a lot. My wife works full-time as well, so, you know, if I don't do more than 1 or 2 videos per week or 2 weeks or so, it's just because that's how life works for me. Unfortunately, I cannot do more videos like I would want to. There's a lot of guys that I watch on YouTube that practically post every day or every other day, and I wish I was one of those people, because I have just as much knowledge and input and just excitement for music in general, but I just do not have as much time. But hey, when I do have time, this is what I do. So I hope y'all enjoy what I have to say. And please leave your comments below on the videos that I do put out for y'all. But I just wanted to give a brief history on what's been going on in the rock music world. I watched a guy last night, Michael Nolan. He's one of the gentlemen that I watch. He was mentioning that Rolling Stone just did a 200 greatest singers list, and it is nothing but a total joke. If you're a rock music fan, there's not many rock vocalists on this list, especially in the top 20. For instance, Robert Plant, they put at number 63, which is a crime. That guy should definitely be in the top 10 for sure on anybody's list of any type of music as far as I'm concerned. But so if you want to check out that Rolling Stone list, it's a bunch of crap. But if you want to go ahead and get a big laugh and get disgusted, be my guest and go check it out. I'm sure you'll disagree as well. If you have any kind of good taste in rock music, I don't think that you're going to be too happy with the list. But that shouldn't come as a surprise, because Rolling Stone's pretty much always been kind of a trash magazine. I did have a little bit of hope for them over the last few years. They started kind of coming around and retracting things that maybe they gave bad reviews on back in the day, in the 70s or 80s, and they kind of made up for it by giving good reviews of those same bands. But now I think they're resorting back. I don't think a lot of those critics and those people who write for that magazine, or any kind of what's the word I can use, I don't think that they know a whole lot about music. And if they do, it's not really music, if you know what I mean. For instance, I know Beyonce is on the top 10 list of greatest singers. Now, if that's not a joke, I don't know what is. But anyway, on to other things. I'm going to give y'all a few albums that I've been listening to, going back and checking out. My first one is Metallica, Master of Puppets. This wasn't the first album that I owned by Metallica. I think that might have been Injustice for All, and I played the hell out of Injustice for All. That's probably still definitely in my top 2 favorite Metallica albums. As far as like guitar work, heavy guitar work, that is like a brutal album for just riffs. It's just constant and non-stop. But this album had a lot of great songs. Welcome Home Sanitarium is probably my favorite. But this whole album is great. I don't think that there's one song on here that I would skip through. Master of Puppets was probably my least favorite, and even though it is, it's still a great song. So I've been listening to this a lot. Jethro Tull. You know, I'm very familiar with the Aqualung album, but I don't have the other ones in front of me to show you that I've been listening to. I've been checking those out on YouTube, so I don't have the physical albums, but I'll say this. Songs from the Wood, Heavy Horses, Thick as a Brick, and Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. I've been listening to those 4 albums constantly, especially Songs from the Wood and Too Old to Rock and Roll. I think Too Old to Rock and Roll kind of gets a bad rap, but those first 4 or 5 songs on that album are really, really good, especially the song Quiz Kid. If you get a chance to check that out, I haven't heard many people talk about that album or that song, but Quiz Kid is just a phenomenal track. I mean, it's got everything. You know, it starts off kind of melodic and slow with like a prelude to the song, and then it comes in with one of the best Martin Barre guitar riffs that I've ever heard. As a matter of fact, it's one of the best guitar riffs I've ever heard from anyone. I mean, it just kind of just grabs you, and just the way it lays in there and kind of weaves in and out of the song. There's a lot of changes that happen, but it's a short and sweet track. I think the track's maybe about 5 minutes long. But if you listen to it, check out the 2002 remastered version. Don't listen to the new remastered or remixed version because it's awful. That's one problem that I have with a lot of albums that are being remastered these days or remixed, is that they take away a lot of the atmosphere and the subtle differences that make those original songs sound the way that they do. So I noticed when they go ahead back and they go ahead and mess with things and they remaster things, it might enhance some parts of the song, but those other little subtleties get taken away. And to me, it kills the character of the tune. So I'm not a real big fan of the newly remastered stuff. But like I say, go check out Quiz Kid. Go check out Songs from the Wood. That's another great Jethro Tull song, and that whole album is really good. If you like medieval kind of folk rock with some heavy stuff mixed in, Songs from the Wood, I would highly recommend that album. That's quickly becoming probably my favorite Jethro Tull album. Even though I didn't love it at first, it took me a little while to listen to it. It's really, really good. But I did say in my last video that I am not a fan of Passion Play, and I will stick with that thought. I do not like Passion Play. It's just too much. I mean, the musicianship is excellent, but it just jumps around too much for me. And if you're a fan of just straight up rock and roll, it's not the thing to listen to. You have to really be a Jethro Tull fanatic to listen to this. And then still, I find that half the Jethro Tull fan base still has a hard time grasping this album. And I can totally understand why, because I'm one of those people. And as you can see, I have my Jethro Tull shirt on today. This was a gift from my wife for Christmas, and I just love it. So thank you to my wife. It's a great shirt. Okay, so next is Alice in Chains. What is this? Facelift. That is a really, really good album. I mean, everything on here. We Die Young. Love, Hate, Love. Bleed the Freak. Everything on here. Sea of Sorrow, and of course Man in the Box. That's another album I've been checking out lately. So I've been kind of all over the place. The Doors' first album, that's a great album. I mean, how many great songs do they have on this thing that were hits? Like 4, 5, 6 songs. I mean, The End is on here, which is probably my favorite Doors song. Break On Through, Soul Kitchen, The Crystal Ship, 20th Century Fox, Light My Fire, Backdoor Man. I mean, The Doors. You can't go wrong with The Doors. To me, The Doors, I won't say that they're better than the Beatles because, you know, I'm not going to get into an argument about who's better. I'll just say for my taste, what I like, I think The Doors were more exciting and they had more character. Although, towards the end of the Beatles' career, from probably Revolver on or Rubber Soul on, they really did experiment a lot more and they got a lot more interesting versus those first Beatles albums where it was kind of like teeny bop stuff, you know, Twist and Shout and all that. As far as I'm concerned, the Beatles were probably the first boy band way back when, even though that wasn't a title or a genre. Here's another one, Danzig. First album from Danzig, Twist of Cain. Not of This World. She Rides. That's a great song, She Rides. Possession. Evil Thing. The Hunter. Am I Demon? If you like, you know, some alternative kind of dark stuff, this guy sounds like Elvis and Jim Morrison had a baby. There you go, Glenn Danzig. Check that out. There's not really a whole lot of complexity to Danzig. It's just more like straight up. My only complaint about all of the Danzig albums, as far as the mix goes, is that the bass is not really prominent. So you have to really listen to for the bass lines to understand what's going on. But besides that, I mean, Danzig had some great stuff for what it was. I understand, you know, not a lot of people are fans of this, but, you know, if you like this kind of stuff, like more like the Misfits, you know, it's almost like coming out of the punk rock scene and going straight into like some metal. So it's a mix between punk rock and metal, Danzig. I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard that before. My favorite Rush album, believe it or not, is Caress of Steel. Right? Caress of Steel, Rush. I love Rush. I love this album. This is the first album that I got turned on to by Rush when I heard The Necromancer and Bastille Day and The Fountain of Lamneth. I mean, those songs are just unreal. The riffs, the musicianship, just the way it all comes together. I know a lot of people panned this album, and the record company said, hey, if you don't come up with something good on the next album, we're going to can you, kind of thing. We're going to scratch you out, and that's when they wrote the phenomenal 2112. But my pick would definitely be this album, Farewell to Kings, and Hemispheres. That's probably my top 3 Rush albums. Over the last year or two, I've been listening to more of the 80s Rush, which I wasn't a fan of back 20, 30 years ago, but I'll say that Grace Under Pressure is a really great album as far as just the songs. I know Alex Lifeson's style kind of changed up a bit. He was kind of more laid back, but those guitar solos that he puts down on that album are nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, every one of them is perfect. Signals is another great Rush album. That's the one from 1982 that came out right after Moving Pictures. So, you know, your first 3 albums from the 80s, actually 4. I think Permanent Waves came out in 80. So 1980s Permanent Waves, 81 you have Moving Pictures, 82 you have Signals, and 83, I think actually 84 was Grace Under Pressure. So those 4 albums are really, really good. After that, I kind of fell off the Rush train, the bandwagon, so to speak. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm definitely a Rush fan. But from 85 on, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire and all of that, I couldn't get into that. But then they kind of redeemed themselves in the late 80s with Presto. Presto is a really, really good album. That's the first tour that I saw from Rush, was 1989, 1990, the Presto tour, and that was great. But yeah, like I say, my 3 favorite Rush albums still are Hemispheres, Farewell to Kings, and Caress of Steel. So I've been listening to a lot of Rush. Speaking of that, yesterday was the 3-year passing of Neil Peart. That was my purpose of the Rush thing, sorry. Neil Peart's been gone 3 years from us. He left behind a legacy of music and drumming that will just never be replaced. No doubt in my mind, one of the greatest drummers of any genre of all time. The things that guy did were just on another level. He definitely stepped the bar up, and he'll be greatly missed, but we still have the music to listen to and appreciate everything that he did for us. Here's one you don't see every day. Wishbone Ash, August. This is another great album, guitar album. It's a little bit like Zeppelin meets Jethro Tull. You know, there's some subtleties in there that you can pick up on. I'm not sure if this is a concept album or not, but I know it has a lot to do with like kings and dragons and swords and war and fighting and all this stuff. So, you know, I've never read anywhere where this was a concept album, but it pretty much could be, because at least 3 or 4 songs off of this album have the same topic in mind, which is like, you know, war and fighting. I mean, look at the cover, right? He's going into battle. I mean, that's one of the greatest album covers, in my opinion, of all time as far as rock music is concerned. I love that. I'm probably going to get a picture of this and put it up on my wall. I love it so much. So that's another one, Wishbone Ash. And here we go with Pink Floyd, The Wall. I haven't listened to this album in a very long time, and I just listened to it the other day, start to finish. And man, it is something else. I know a lot of this was Roger Waters, his ideas, but everything just really comes together on this album. The songs like Mother, Goodbye Blue Sky, that's one of my favorite Pink Floyd songs ever. Everything on here is just really good. Even Vera, you know, the songs that come in and out that are kind of like fillers for the next song, even though they're real short and sweet, like a minute or two long, if you want to call them fillers, but they're actually pretty good tracks. Everything on here is like purposely done track by track to flow really well. I think they did a really good job of putting the track listing correctly on here. It just tells a story. It's perfect. And although I do listen to this a lot, my very first Pink Floyd album was Wish You Were Here. I still love that. And my favorite Pink Floyd album is Animals. I absolutely love the whole album of Animals. I love the topic, the concept of the album, everything about it, the musicianship. It's really dark. It's a little bit depressing, but you know, a lot of Pink Floyd music is kind of depressing if you listen to the lyrics. But I just wanted to throw those out there. I'll drop one here. It's my last one. I've been listening to a lot of Tool, Enema. That's probably my favorite Tool album. This one and Undertow. Tool kind of lost me after, Lateralis, which is the one that's after Enema. After that, I kind of just lost interest in Tool. They just got way too far out there, too self-indulgent for me. I mean, the songs are like 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes, and it takes 5 or 10 minutes for like the point of the song to come through. You know, they spend a lot of time chanting and building up and like these constant tribal drum beats over and over. And I get it to a certain extent, but then it just becomes monotonous to me after a while. It's like, okay, man, can you get on with the song? And Tool kind of just gets in their own little world. I respect them because they do their own thing, but at the same time, they just got too far out there and just stretched it way too far out for me to kind of just give these songs the attention that they need. I just don't have the patience to listen to some of this stuff. I like the more straight up stuff where, you know, if you don't like the song within 30 seconds of it, you know, if you don't like the guitar riff or something about it, just change it. That's how I am. You know, I don't have patience to listen to a drum beat that just fades in and lasts like literally 5-6 minutes before something else happens, and then that lasts another 5 or 6 minutes. I mean, to me, that's ridiculous. Maybe you could pull that off in a live setting, you know, where you got the whole crowd there, you kind of just trying to build up the atmosphere or whatever. But on album, it's like, come on, man, get on with it. You got to shorten those songs up a little bit, Tool. Anyway, used to be a Tool fan. I like the old stuff, not the new stuff. Tomorrow is Jimmy Page's 79th birthday. January 9th, 1944, he was born. We don't hear a lot from Jimmy Page anymore as far as like, you know, putting some stuff down on record, some new things. I'm not really sure what he does these days. I guess he's just enjoying his life, and great for him. I mean, I still think he's the greatest guitar player of all time. That's just me. People can argue all day who's the greatest of drums, guitar, this and that, any instrument. You know, it's all about your taste, what instrument speaks to you, how that person conveys, you know, those notes through that instrument. And to me, he just spoke so many words through his guitar parts. I mean, it was just perfect. I love everything that he did. You know, I've been watching a lot of videos where people are arguing about who's the greatest drummer, who's this, who's that. And to me, it's like, man, you know, everybody has that thing. Everybody likes what they hear. You know, I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer. It's all music, and that's the great thing about music, is that You know, it has no judgment. It's, you know, some of it might be a little bit political, but for the most part, you know, it's not about politics or judgment or all these other things that are going on in the world right now. Music is just about freedom, freedom of expression. You know, you're welcome to feel any kind of emotion from music that you want. It's all up to the listener. It's like another outlet for you to just enjoy your life, think about other things, you know, just get into the music. However it makes you feel is how it makes you feel. And you can choose if you want to feel angry or sad or happy or full of energy, you know, depending on what you listen to. You know, if you want to listen to some punk because you want to get raved up, or you want to listen to some doo-wop because you just in one of those happy moods. Doo-wop music is all about happiness. R&B, old school R&B, 50s and 60s. Psychedelic rock, you know, metal. If you want to just be in that mood to listen to some fast stuff, that's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of music. It's what you choose to listen to, how it makes you feel. So I just wanted to touch base with everybody again. Wish everybody a happy new year. And before I go, I'm going to go ahead and show you. What I've been doing with my living room and my den. My wife is such a wonderful person that she allows me to make this pretty much this whole entire house something that I can live with, something that really makes me feel like I could come alive and express myself and just be me. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this video for a moment, and I'm gonna come back and just show you a few shots of what I've been working on as far as hanging stuff on my walls and everything. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here's a little bit of what I've been doing. That's an autographed picture of Nat King Cole. That's his autograph. All right, that's pretty cool. I actually got this from a job that I was working on at a casino for a few years, and it was this and a Louis Armstrong frame that they had laying around, and they didn't want it, or somebody was getting rid of it, so another lady took the Louis Armstrong, which I really wanted, and this was left over. So I said, hey, well, beggars can't be choosers. I guess this is better than nothing, so I took that. And so here it is on my wall. Just have a few things going on. That's a little guy that's like a little dog toy, but this is a bass that my neighbor gave to me. They just moved out, so it's good to fiddle around on. My guitar, my acoustic Ibanez. It's a really good guitar. This is something special that I wanted to show you. That's John Paul Jones's autograph on a ticket that he signed for me. When he came down in 2000 for his tour for the Zuma album that he had out at the House of Blues, I met him, and he signed that for me. Robert Plant, I saw him several times. This is from one of the nights I saw him in Biloxi, Mississippi. That's a great picture of him. I love that pose. That's totally Robert Plant right there. This is a poster from a concert hall called the Warehouse that was in New Orleans for many, many years. And this is a poster of every single ticket stub from every concert that was there from, I want to say, 1970 to 1982 when they closed the doors. So, I mean, you have, let's see if I could just see a few things. You got Humble Pie and Yes, UFO, Rush, Blue Oyster Cult, Foghat. Man, there's all kind of stuff on here. The last concert at this place was Talking Heads. That was in 1982, like I said. Edgar Winter, Allman Brothers used to play there a lot. The Doors actually had their last show at the Warehouse. So there you go. The Doors played here for their last show. You had Kiss. Kiss was there. Fleetwood Mac. Dr. John, which is a New Orleans favorite. He's local. He passed away recently. You got the Police, the Kinks, Ted Nugent, all kind of stuff on here. Foreigner, King Crimson right there, top left. Canned Heat, David Bowie. There's all kind of stuff floating around on this thing. This is really, really cool to just look at all this. The Who. There you go. There's the Who. That's pretty cool. Grand Funk. I'm trying to see if I could find that Talking Heads ticket stub, but I don't see it. Maybe I just went too fast. Anyway, there you go. Wishbone Ash. Love those guys. Jeff Beck. Wow, what a lineup that played here. I know Led Zeppelin never did make it to this. This was kind of like the Whiskey A Go Go or Rainbow on the Sunset Strip. This was like New Orleans version of that. As you can see, a lot of different bands played here. ZZ Top, right? So this is a poster that I had when I was 14, 15 years old. It's 21 wide by 62 long or something like that, something crazy. And I lost this in Hurricane Katrina, and it was one of my favorite posters. And I got lucky enough to find this replacement on eBay. It cost me probably 75, 80 bucks, but and I know that's ridiculous to pay for a poster, but I really wanted to have it. So there it is. I was happy to at least find one. It took me many, many years to find this thing, and there it is. My Twilight Zone poster. I'm a big fan of Twilight Zone, if you can't tell. Here's all my albums. One day I'll go through those. I have a pretty unique collection of different genres. Fats Domino, James Brown goes through. I got a lot of heavy metal and some rock in there and all kind of different things. This is a picture of me when I met John Paul Jones back in 2000. March 14th, 2000 is when I met him. Yeah, that's something else, man. I got stories about that. Actually, on one of my first videos, my second video, I think I spoke a lot about when I met him, and also when I met Fats Domino. That's another guy that I met. I have all my CDs. We built this cabinet and painted it. There's my Wonka bar. Got loads of CDs, right? There's my Star Wars stuff. Big Star Wars fan, okay? This is my living room, by the way. So when you walk in my front door, this is what you see, all of this. I got a nice guitar that a friend of mine who happens to be an engineer, he works a lot with heavier bands like Crowbar and stuff like that. He gave me that guitar as a gift, which was super nice of him. We do a lot of work together. I go to the studio a lot with him and listen to things, and he mixes things for me that I have. And we just hang out a lot. There you go. When I met Fats Domino, he signed this for me. It says, "Best of luck, Fats Domino." That's him with Elvis. I really do cherish that picture. This is from the Bath Festival. Look at all that. From the 27th and 28th. You got Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, Jefferson Airplane, Canned Heat, Steppenwolf, Johnny Winter, Santana, Dr. John. There's my Rush poster. I hung these two guitars yesterday. And up above that Rock and Roll Theater poster, you see I have my Star Wars lightsaber. That's a replica of the original one from the movie. That's a pretty costly lightsaber. That's not like a little cheap reprint replica. That's like a $200 lightsaber right there. It's pretty heavy too. It's all metal. There's a black light poster that I have from back in the day I was able to save. Here's my Celebration Day canvas print. Here's the Killer Clowns from Outer Space animatronic Shorty. There's my R2. This was probably like a prop at a store or something like that, and I can't even remember where I got it from. I picked it up from somewhere, but his got to fix his head on this thing, kind of keep it up. But anyway, I just wanted to show you all the room. There's one of my cats. So when you walk in my door, you see all of this, right? All my music stuff, okay? And then I want to show you. This is a really cool poster. Look at all the people on this thing, right? You could spend a few minutes just kind of just looking at everybody on here. This is an amazing poster. I think I found this when I was working at a university doing some electrical work, and somebody left this behind on their wall when they were moving out of their dorm room. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have this. This is amazing. So I took it off the wall and brought it home. And now it's framed up in my living room. Pretty cool, all of the people who are on here, right? That's something else. So this wall is what I'm going to be working on today. I got my Pink Floyd. I actually drew this when I was about 15 or 16 on some poster board. So got that hanging. I got a lot more things to hang. I got some Jethro Tull, really nice Jethro Tull prints that I picked up from FedEx that I had them print out for me. I got my Dio poster. Love Dio to death. One of my favorite singers of all time, favorite bands of all time, Dio. That's from the 1984 tour. I saw this at UNO Lakefront Arena in New Orleans in 2010. Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax. That was the loudest concert I've ever been to. My ears hurt, like literally hurt for like 4 days. Got my Maiden. I got my alternative rock stuff, you know, Faith No More, Stone Temple. Got my Danzig. Got my Metallica stuff. I'm going to keep hanging this wall today, and I'll post that next time, but I just wanted to give y'all a little brief tour of what's been going on in the remnants of a Sound Blast house. Take care, y'all. Till next time.